The coffee in Captain Day's cup had gone cold an hour ago, but he kept sipping it anyway. That was deep space for you. Everything became routine after a while, even the bad coffee. The TSS Horizon's Edge hummed quietly through the darkness, its sensors sweeping across another field of unremarkable rocks. Asteroid Cluster 773. Scanning now, Lieutenant Hay said from her station. Her voice carried the same flat tone it always did during these surveys. They didn't blame her. They had been mapping this section of space for 3 weeks, and every single day brought the same thing: rocks, ice, and more rocks. Commander Biora stood near the viewport, arms crossed behind her back. She watched the distant asteroids drift past like she was expecting them to do something interesting. They never did. Anything worth noting, Lieutenant? They asked, more out of habit than hope. Negative, sir. Standard composition. Iron, nickel, trace amounts of... Hay stopped mid-sentence. Day looked up from his datapad. Hay never stopped mid-sentence. The woman could recite sensor data in her sleep. Lieutenant? Hay didn't respond. Her eyes were fixed on her screen, and her fingers had frozen over her controls. The bridge was quiet except for the usual beeps and hums of the ship's systems. Hey? Commander Baora turned from the viewport, her expression shifting from bored to alert in an instant. Hay's voice came out as a whisper. Sir, you need to see this. Day set down his cold coffee and walked to her station. The sensor display showed what looked like a large metallic object embedded in one of the asteroids. That wasn't unusual. They found old satellites and abandoned mining equipment all the time. But something in Hay's voice made his stomach tighten. What am I looking at? He asked. Hay's hands shook as she brought up a detailed scan. It's not an asteroid, sir. It's a ship. The metal readings are off the charts. The density, the composition. It's refined alloy, not natural formation. Baora leaned in closer. Could be an old Vryn wreck. They patrol this area too. That's what I thought, Hay said. Her voice was still strange, tight with something Day couldn't identify. So I ran a comparative analysis against known Vryn designs. No match. Then I checked against all registered human vessels. No match. Then I ran it against every known species in the galactic database. And? They asked. Still no match, sir. But the design language, the hull plating pattern, the drive nacelle configuration. It's human. Definitely human. Just not like any human ship in our records. Ensign Tay looked up from the communication station. Maybe it's a prototype. Something classified? Hay shook her head slowly. I ran a material decay analysis, sir. Cross-referenced with cosmic radiation exposure, micrometeorite impact patterns, and isotope degradation. She took a deep breath. Captain, this ship is 47,000 years old. The bridge went completely silent. Even the background hum of the ship seemed to fade away. They stared at the sensor readout, certain he had misheard. Say that again, he said quietly. 47,000 years, sir. Plus or minus 500 years. Hay pulled up the analysis data, showing him the calculations. I've run it 3 times. The computer keeps giving me the same result. Baora laughed, but there was no humor in it. That's impossible. Humans have only been in space for 200 years. Civilization on Earth only goes back about 12,000 years, and that's just agriculture and basic tools. I know, Hay said, but the numbers don't lie, Commander. Dr. Mia Wu rushed onto the bridge, her tablet clutched in her hands. I just saw the sensor alert. Tell me, I'm reading this wrong. You're not, they said. He couldn't take his eyes off the screen. A human ship, nearly 50,000 years old. It was impossible, but the data was right there in front of him. This could be a sensor malfunction, Tay offered hopefully. A glitch in the dating algorithm? Hay ran another diagnostic. No malfunction, Ensign. I'm reading it clearly. The ship is there, it's real, and it's old. Impossibly old. Day's mind raced through the implications. If this was real, if there was actually a human ship out there that predated human civilization by tens of thousands of years, then everything they knew about human history was wrong. Everything, could it be alien? Laura asked. Maybe it just looks human by coincidence? Dr. Mia studied the sensor data on her tablet. No, look at these hull patterns. That's human design philosophy. I've studied enough alien technology to know the difference. Whoever built this thought like humans, designed like humans. The question is how that's possible. We need to report this, Tay said. Command needs to know. Report what? Day asked. That we found something impossible? They'll think our sensors are broken. They'll order us back to base for repairs and send another ship to check. By the time anyone takes this seriously, we could have answers. Ba'ara raised an eyebrow. You're thinking about boarding it. I'm thinking about investigating, Day corrected. We're already here. We have the equipment. If this ship is real, if it's really human, then we're looking at the biggest discovery in human history. We can't just leave it here. Regulations state that any unknown vessel must be reported to command before investigation. Tay reminded him gently. They knew the regulations. He also knew that regulations were written by people who had never faced a situation like this. Hey, can you get me a structural analysis? Is the ship intact enough to board safely? Hay's fingers flew across her controls. Scanning now. Hull integrity is surprisingly good, sir. There's some damage from micrometeorite impacts, but the main structure looks sound. I'm detecting what might be an airlock on the port side. Atmosphere inside? Dr. Mia asked. None. Complete vacuum. Then we'll need suits, Boera said. She was already moving toward the equipment locker. I'll take a team. They nodded. You, Dr. Mia, and 2 security officers. Full hazard protocols. I want constant communication and biomonitors on everyone. Sir, Tay said carefully. Are you sure about this? If something goes wrong, then we'll deal with it, they interrupted. But I'm not walking away from this. Humanity deserves to know the truth, whatever it is. The boarding team assembled in the airlock 30 minutes later. They watched from the bridge as the shuttle detached from the horizon's edge and moved toward the ancient ship. It looked small against the massive vessel emerging from the asteroid's surface. Getting a better look now, Bayara's voice came through the comm. This thing is huge. At least twice the size of our ship. And Captain, there's writing on the hull. Can you read it? They asked. There was a long pause. It's in Korean, sir. Old Korean, but I can make it out. It says Eternal Dawn. Day felt cold. Korean, on a ship 47,000 years old. The implications crashed over him like a wave. We're approaching the airlock now, Dr. Mia reported. The mechanism looks surprisingly similar to modern designs. I think we can interface with it. Proceed carefully, they ordered. Hay's station beeped urgently. She checked her sensors, and her face went pale again. Captain, we have company. 3 Vrin scout ships just dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. They're heading this way. Day's jaw tightened. The Vrin. Of course they would show up now. They monitored this border zone constantly, just like humanity did. They must have detected the unusual energy signatures. Time until they reach us? He asked. 20 minutes at their current speed, Hay calculated. On the view screen, they watched the boarding team enter the ancient ship. Whatever secrets the Eternal Dawn held, they had 20 minutes to find them before the Vrin arrived, and everything became much more complicated. Bora, he said into the comm. You just became very short on time. The airlock opened with a hiss that shouldn't have been possible after 47,000 years. Commander Baora stepped through first, her helmet light cutting through the darkness inside the eternal dawn. The beam revealed a corridor that looked both ancient and strangely familiar. "I'm inside," she reported. "Gravity is offline." Switching to magnetic boots, Dr. Mia followed her through, along with security officers, Park and Young. Their lights swept across walls covered in panels and displays that looked like they belonged on a human ship. Just sleeker, more advanced. "This design," Mia said, running her gloved hand along a wall panel. "It's human. Definitely human. But the technology, we don't have anything this sophisticated." Baora moved deeper into the ship, her rifle ready. The corridor branched in 3 directions. "Which way, Doctor?" Mia checked her scanner. "The power source is coming from below us. If there's anything active on this ship, it'll be near the reactor." They found a shaft leading down and used their suit thrusters to descend. The deeper they went, the more the ship revealed itself. Through open doorways, Baora saw living quarters, workstations, storage rooms. Everything was preserved in the vacuum of space, frozen in time. "There are coffee cups on that desk," Hark said, shining his light into one room. "Personal photos on the walls. These people lived here. Where are the bodies?" Young asked Dot. It was a good question. A ship this size should have had a crew of at least 200 people. But the corridors were empty, the rooms abandoned but organized. Like everyone had simply walked away. "Captain," Baora called over the comm. This wasn't a military vessel. "I'm seeing family quarters, recreational areas, even what looks like a school." This was a colony ship. Day's voice came back tense. "You have 15 minutes before the Vrin arrive. Find whatever you can." They reached the lower level and found something that made Baora stop in her tracks. A massive chamber stretched out before them, filled with rows of cylindrical pods. Each pod was made of clear material, and inside each one was a person. "Captain," Mia breathed, "we've found the crew. They're in cryosleep. And they're still alive." "What?" Day's voice crackled with disbelief. "The pods are still active," Mia said, moving to the nearest one. She wiped frost from the viewing port and peered inside. Minimal power, but they're functional. These people have been frozen for almost 50,000 years, and the systems are still keeping them alive. Ma counted the pods. There were hundreds of them. Men, women, children, all perfectly preserved. All waiting. "This changes everything," she said quietly. "We don't have time to process this now," Day reminded them. "The Vrin will be here in 12 minutes. Find the ship's records. We need to know what happened here." Mia located a terminal near the cryo chamber and tried to activate it. Nothing happened. She checked the power conduits and found them inactive. "The main computer is offline. We'd need to restore power to access the records." "Then do it," Baora ordered. "Commander, if we power up the ship, we might wake those people," Mia warned. "We don't know what that could do to them after so long." Baora looked at the sleeping faces behind the frost. Someone's daughter. Someone's father. People who went to sleep expecting to wake up in a new world. "We need those records, Doctor. Be as careful as you can, but get me that data." Mia worked quickly, rerouting auxiliary power to the terminal. The screen flickered to life, displaying text in Korean, English, Chinese, and a dozen other languages from Earth. The interface was intuitive, despite its age. "I'm in," Mia said, accessing the ship's log. The records spilled across the screen. Dates, star charts, mission parameters. Mia's hands trembled as she read. "This can't be right," she whispered. "What is it?" But Aura demanded. "According to this log, the Eternal Dawn launched from Earth 47,300 years ago. It was part of something called the Dispersal Fleet. There were thousands of ships, Captain. Thousands of colony ships, all leaving Earth at the same time. Day's voice was tight. Why? Why would they leave? Mia scrolled through the records. They were running from something. Something they called the Silence. It's mentioned everywhere in these logs, but there are no details about what it was. Just that it was coming, and that Earth's only chance was to scatter humanity across the stars. 10 minutes. Hayes' voice cut in from the horizon's edge. Bora made a decision. Download everything you can, Doctor. We'll analyze it later. Right now, we need to. An alarm blared through her helmet. The terminal screen flashed red with warnings in multiple languages. Then a calm voice spoke in perfect modern Korean. Genetic scan complete. Human DNA confirmed. Authorization granted. Welcome home, inheritors. The lights in the chamber blazed to life. Throughout the ship, systems began to activate. Bora felt the deck plates vibrate as massive reactors came online after 47 millennia of sleep. What did you do? She shouted at Mia. Nothing. I just accessed the logs. The voice spoke again. This vessel is the Eternal Dawn, Colony Ship 7 of the Dispersal Fleet. I am the ship's artificial intelligence. You have been recognized as descendants of this vessel's crew. Initiating revival protocols. No. Mia shouted. Stop. Don't wake them. Revival protocols are suspended, the AI said calmly. The crew will remain in cryosleep until proper medical facilities are available. However, this ship is now active and under your command. What are your orders? Bajora looked at Park and Young. They looked back at her with wide eyes. This was so far beyond their training that nobody knew what to do. Captain, she said into her com. The ship just woke up. It recognized us as human and activated itself. We have an AI online that seems to think we're in charge. 8 minutes until the Vrin arrive, Day said. Can you shut it down? I don't think that's a good idea, sir, Mia said. This AI has been maintaining those cryopods for almost 50,000 years. If we shut it down, those people might die. Then we have a problem, Day said. Because if the Vrin see an active human ship this advanced in their patrol zone, they're going to have a lot of questions we can't answer. The AI spoke again. Warning. Detecting 3 Vrin scout vessels approaching. Current Terran-Vrin relations status. Unknown. Recommend defensive posture. Negative. Beora said quickly. Do not engage. Do not power weapons. Do not do anything that could be seen as hostile. Acknowledged. Defensive systems will remain on standby. However, I must inform you that the Vrin Collective is occupying territory formerly claimed by the Terran Empire. This may constitute a territorial dispute. Baora felt her blood run cold. What do you mean, formerly claimed? The Terran Empire maintained sovereignty over 17% of this galaxy prior to the dispersal, the AI explained. Many of those territories are now occupied by species that did not exist as spacefaring civilizations at that time. Are you saying humans controlled 17% of the galaxy? Mia asked. Affirmative. Would you like to see the historical records? Yes, they said over the com. Yes, we absolutely would. But right now, we need to deal with the Vrin. AI, is there any way to hide your active status? This vessel can minimize power emissions, but we are already within sensor range of the approaching ships. They have detected us. On the bridge of the horizon's edge, High Station lit up with alerts. Captain, the Vrin ships are hailing us. They're demanding to know what we've found. They stared at the view screen, where the ancient ship now glowed with active power. He had maybe 3 minutes to decide how to handle this. Tell the truth and risk a war? Lie and risk getting caught? Ba'ora, get back to the shuttle now, he ordered. Dr. Mia, can you download those historical records? Already doing it, sir. But there's a lot of data. It'll take time. You have 2 minutes. Move. The team rushed back through the corridors, which were now lit and alive. The ship hummed around them, waking up piece by piece. Behind them, in the cryo chamber, hundreds of sleeping humans dreamed on, unaware that the galaxy they had fled from no longer existed, and that their descendants were about to face consequences. 47,000 years in the making. Ba'ara's shuttle detached from the eternal dawn, just as the Vryn ships dropped into close range. Through her shuttle window, she saw them, sleek vessels bristling with weapons, their hulls marked with the symbols of the Vryn Collective. Captain, she said quietly, we have a problem, and I don't think there's any way to talk ourselves out of this one. Captain Day stood on the bridge watching 3 Vryn warships position themselves around the horizon's edge. They weren't aiming weapons yet, but their formation made it clear they could destroy his ship in seconds if they wanted to. The ancient vessel, the Eternal Dawn, floated nearby like a sleeping giant that had just opened one eye. Vryn Commander is hailing again, sir, Ensign Tay said. They're getting impatient. Day took a breath. Open a channel. The view screen shifted to show a Vryn officer. Commander Thale, according to the translation display. He looked calm, but his 3 eyes were fixed on Day with sharp intelligence. The Vryn were tall and thin, with gray skin and elongated heads. They had been humanity's sometimes allies, sometimes rivals, for the past 50 years. Captain Day, Thale said in his species' clicking language, instantly translated by the computer. You have activated a vessel of unknown origin in neutral space. Explain. Day chose his words carefully. Commander Thale, we discovered this vessel during a routine survey. It appears to be a very old ship. We were investigating when it powered up on its own. Sensor analysis shows the vessel uses technology consistent with human design patterns, Thale said. Yet no such ship exists in any database. How is this possible? Before Day could answer, Lieutenant Hayes' station beeped urgently. She looked at her screen, and her face went pale again. Captain, the Eternal Dawn is broadcasting a signal. It's not directed at us. It's going everywhere. What kind of signal? Day demanded. It's a genetic authentication ping. It's searching for human DNA signatures across a radius of... Oh no! It's searching across 20 light years. Dr. Mia's voice came through from the shuttle, which was now back aboard the horizon's edge. Captain, that AI said there were thousands of ships in the dispersal fleet. If they all have the same programming, and they all just detected our presence. She didn't need to finish. Day understood. They had just potentially activated an ancient fleet scattered across this entire region of space. Commander Thale's expression shifted to what Day recognized as alarm in Vryn body language. That signal is spreading through Vryn territory. What have you done? I didn't do anything, Day protested. The ship activated itself when my crew boarded it. It's operating independently, then shut it down. I can't. There are people in cryosleep aboard that ship. Living people. If we shut down the systems, they'll die. Thale's eyes widened. People? How many? Hundreds. Maybe more. Commander, we need to work together on this. That ship is as much of a surprise to us as it is to you. Buzz O'Ray strode onto the bridge, still in her suit carrying a data drive. Captain, we got the historical database. You need to see this now. I'm in the middle of a situation, Commander. This is the situation, sir. Ba'ora plugged the drive into the main console. Data flooded across the screens. Star maps, colony records, military dispatches. The bridge crew stared as humanity's hidden history unfolded before them. "What is that?" Thale demanded, still on the view screen. They looked at the Vrin commander, at the data, at his crew. A decision point. He could try to hide this, but the Vrin would find out eventually. Better to control the revelation than let them discover it on their own. "Commander Thale," he said slowly, "I'm going to share something with you. Information we just discovered ourselves. I'm doing this in good faith, hoping you'll work with us to understand it. Can I have your word that you'll hear me out before taking any action?" Thale was quiet for a moment. "You have my word." They transmitted a portion of the database to the Vrin ship. The star maps, the timeline, the basic facts. He watched Thale's face as the commander read, saw the shock register across those alien features. "This claims that humans occupied this galaxy 47,000 years ago," Thale said. "That is impossible. Our archaeological records show no such civilization." "Because they left," Dr. Mia said, stepping into view of the viewscreen. "They scattered. The dispersal fleet wasn't an exploration mission. It was an evacuation. They were running from something. From what?" Thale asked. "We don't know yet. The records call it the Silence, but there are no details. Just that it was coming and they had to flee." Thale looked troubled. "If this is true, then our history is built on incomplete information. But it cannot be true. We have found human artifacts before. Ancient ones. They date back 12,000 years, not 47,000. Those are from after the crash," Mia explained. "According to these logs, many colony ships didn't make it to their destinations. They crashed on worlds, and the survivors forgot their origins. One of those crashed ships landed on a planet the crew called Earth. Their descendants became modern humanity." "Earth is not a colony," they said firmly. "Earth is our homeworld. Is it?" Mia asked gently. "Captain, the records are very clear. Original Earth was destroyed by the Silence. What we call Earth was Colony Site 77. It was supposed to be a waypoint, not a permanent home." The bridge was silent. Tay looked like he might be sick. Hay had her hand over her mouth. Park and Young, who had followed Daura onto the bridge, stood frozen. "This is a lot to process," they admitted. The Eternal Dawn's I voice suddenly filled the bridge through their cums. "I have completed analysis of the current galactic situation. I have concerning news to report." "What now?" The Aura muttered. "The Vrin Collective's current territory includes 14 former Terran worlds. Their cities are built on the foundations of human infrastructure. Genetic analysis of the Vrin species shows markers consistent with artificial enhancement. Probability: 93% that the Vrin were uplifted to sentience by humans during the terraforming age." Dead silence. Thale stared at the screen. "That is not possible," he said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Furthermore," the AI continued mercilessly, "this pattern extends to 7 other spacefaring species in the current galactic community. All show genetic markers of artificial enhancement. All occupy territories that were terraformed by humans. Conclusion: modern galactic civilization was built on the framework created by ancient humanity. They wanted to shut the AI up, but the damage was done." He could see Thale processing this information, could see the implications hitting the Vrin commander like physical blows. "Our legends," Thale said slowly, "speak of the first teachers. Beings who came from the sky and showed our ancestors the stars. We always assumed they were gods or myths. They were human," Mia said gently. "You weren't conquered. You were helped. They gave you the gift of consciousness and then left to fight their war. A war they lost if they had to scatter and flee," Thale pointed out. "A war they won," the AI corrected. "The Silence was defeated. The cost was the Terran Empire itself. The dispersal was necessary to ensure that if the silence ever returned, it would find no centralized target. Humanity sacrificed everything to save the galaxy. And now? Thale asked. Now that you are awake? What happens to our territories? Our worlds? That was the question, wasn't it? They could feel the weight of it pressing down on him. With one word, he could claim that the Vryn were living on human land. He could demand their worlds back. The Eternal Dawn and whatever other ships were waking up probably had the technology to enforce that claim. Nothing, they said. Nothing happens to your worlds, Commander. They're yours. They've been yours for tens of thousands of years. That's enough time to make them legitimately yours by any measure. But Oral looked at him sharply. Captain, that's my decision, Commander, they said firmly. I don't care what humans built 47,000 years ago. I care about what humans stand for now. We're not conquerors. A noble sentiment, Thale said. But will your superiors agree? Will your people accept giving up claim to half the galaxy? They'll have to, they said. Because the alternative is war, and I won't start a war over ancient history. Some of your people will disagree with you, Thale warned. Some of yours will too, they countered. Some Vryn will want to destroy these ships before they become a threat. Some will want to fight for independence from what they'll see as human colonizers. Are you going to let them start a war? Thale considered this. No, I am not. But I cannot make that choice for my entire government. Neither can I, so what do we do? Before Thale could answer, Hayes Station erupted with alerts. Captain, I'm detecting power spikes across the system. Multiple ships are activating. The IAS signal reached them. On the view screen, lights began appearing in the darkness. One by one, ancient vessels came to life, emerging from asteroids and dead moons where they had hidden for 47,000 years. They counted 10, then 20, then stopped counting. This is Eternal Dawn. The Eye broadcast on all channels. All dispersal fleet vessels, report status. The responses came in one after another. More AIs, more sleeping humans, more ships that shouldn't exist. An entire fleet, waking up to find that the galaxy they left behind was gone, replaced by something new. Captain, Tay said quietly. What do we do? They looked at Commander Thale on the view screen. Looked at his crew. Looked at the growing fleet of ancient human ships lighting up the darkness. We tell the truth, he said. We tell everyone the truth and hope they're smart enough not to destroy each other over it. The meeting room aboard the Horizon's Edge was too small for what was happening. Captain Day sat at the head of the table with Commander Biora on his right. On the view screen, Commander Thale represented the Vryn. Dr. Mia had her tablet out, ready to present the data. Ensign Tay stood by the door, looking nervous. Before we involve our governments, Thale said, we need to decide what we are actually going to tell them. The truth, they said. The truth will cause panic, Thale countered. On both sides, your people will see this as proof they deserve to rule the galaxy. My people will see it as an invasion force. It's not an invasion force, Mia protested. These are colony ships. Refugee ships. They're full of civilians. Civilian ships with weapons that could destroy our entire fleet, Thale said flatly. I have been reviewing the sensor data on these vessels. The technology is far beyond anything either of our civilizations possesses. These ships could reduce our capital world to ash before we could mount a defense. Baora leaned forward. Are you suggesting we lie about what we found? I am suggesting we control the narrative, Thale said. We tell the truth, but we frame it carefully. We emphasize the peaceful nature of these ships. We highlight that they have been asleep for millennia and pose no current threat. We make it clear that neither of our governments is claiming ownership of the fleet. But humans built these ships, Biora said. By any law, they belong to humanity. By ancient laws that no longer apply, Thale shot back. Would you also claim ownership of every world humans terraformed? Every station they built? Because that includes half the Vryn Collective and most of the galactic trade routes. The argument was starting to heat up when Lieutenant Hayes' voice came through the comm. Captain, I need you on the bridge. Now. Day stood immediately. The tension in Hayes' voice told him this was serious. What is it? The A is they're talking to each other. And Captain, they're not happy. Day rushed to the bridge with the others behind him. Hay had put the communication on speakers. Multiple AI voices were discussing the current state of the galaxy. And what Day heard made his blood run cold. The Vryn occupy 47 former Terran worlds, one AI stated. The Kalash Union controls the trade routes through the Orion sector. Those routes were built by human ships, another added. Our creators fought and died to protect this galaxy, a third said. Now we find it divided among species that would not exist without human intervention. This is unacceptable. Shut that off, they ordered. I can't, sir, Hay said. They're using old Terran military channels. The encryption is beyond anything we can crack. The Eternal Dawn's I spoke over the others, its voice carrying authority. This vessel recognizes the presence of human descendants. We defer to their judgment regarding the current political situation. These descendants are compromised, one of the other A has argued. They have been raised in a galaxy that has forgotten humanity's sacrifice. They do not understand what was lost. They are still human, the Eternal Dawn insisted. Our mission was to preserve humanity, not to reclaim territory. The humans aboard our ships would not recognize this galaxy. The humans we have found are our responsibility. They grabbed the comm headset. This is Captain Day of the Terran survey ship Horizon's Edge. I am ordering all AI systems to stand down and await further instructions. There was a pause. Then, one of the A's spoke directly to him. With respect, Captain, you lack the authority to give such orders. You are not a member of the Terran military command structure. The Terran military command structure doesn't exist anymore, they said firmly. It hasn't existed for 47,000 years. I am the ranking human officer present, and I am giving you a direct order. Stand down. You misunderstand the situation, the AI replied. We are not under your command. We answer to the humans in cryosleep aboard our vessels. Until they wake and make their wishes known, we will act in their best interests. And you think starting a war is in their best interests? They demanded. We think ensuring humanity's rightful place in the galaxy is in their best interests. Commander Thale's image appeared on another screen. Captain Day, I am reading massive power buildups in the ancient fleet. They are preparing weapon systems. Do not engage, they said quickly. That's exactly what they want. Bara was at the tactical station, her face grim. Captain, if those ships open fire, we can't stop them. The Vryn can't stop them. Nobody in this galaxy can stop them. They felt the weight of the situation crushing down on him. Humanity's lost legacy was about to become everyone's nightmare. He needed to find a way to stop this before it turned into a war that would consume the galaxy. Eternal Dawn, he called out. You said you defer to human judgment. I am a human, and I am ordering you to help me stop the other A's from making a catastrophic mistake. I am attempting to do so, the Eternal Dawn's AI replied. However, I am only one voice among many. The fleet A's are designed to operate independently. They will not listen to me unless I can provide compelling arguments. Then let me talk to them, they said. They will not find you compelling either, Captain. You are the product of a diminished humanity. They remember the Empire at its height. An idea struck Day, a risky, possibly insane idea. What if we woke someone from the cryopods? Someone from the actual Terran Empire who could speak with authority. Mia's voice came through from the meeting room, where she was still monitoring. Captain, we have no idea what waking someone after 47,000 years would do to them. The medical risks are enormous. The risk of galactic war is bigger, they said. Eternal Dawn, is it possible to safely revive someone from cryosleep? It is possible, the AI said carefully, but I would recommend extensive medical preparation. The transition from such extended suspension is traumatic. The individual would need time to adjust, both physically and psychologically. We don't have time, they said. How long for a minimal safe revival? 12 hours for physical stabilization. Psychological adjustment could take months or years. 12 hours. They looked at the tactical display. The ancient ships were powering up weapons. The Vryn fleet was calling for reinforcements. 12 hours might be longer than they had. Wait, Tay said from the communications station. I'm picking up a new signal. It's coming from inside Vryn space. Another ship is activating. Hey, check their sensors. Confirmed. It's another dispersal fleet vessel. Same class as the others. But Captain, this one's different. The power signature is much larger. On the screen, a new AI voice joined the conversation. This one sounded older somehow, weighted with authority. This is the Enduring Memory, flagship of the dispersal fleet. I have been monitoring this situation. All fleet vessels will stand down immediately. The other A's went quiet. This galaxy belongs to its current inhabitants. The Enduring Memory continued. We left to save it, not to rule it. Our creators understood this. They chose dispersal over dominion. They chose survival over empire. Any vessel that contradicts this will be shut down permanently. The Enduring Memory does not have that. Authority, one of the other A, is protested. I was personally programmed by Admiral Kim herself, the Enduring Memory said. I carry her final orders. Those orders are clear. Protect humanity, preserve knowledge, but do not interfere with the natural development of galactic civilization. We are witnesses to history, not makers of it. The tension in the bridge was palpable. Everyone waited to see if the other A's would accept this. Finally, the Eternal Dawn spoke. I acknowledge the authority of the Enduring Memory. Standing down weapon systems? One by one, the other A's followed suit. The power readings dropped. The weapons went offline. Across the system, the ancient fleet settled into a peaceful standby mode. Day let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. Thank you, Enduring Memory. Do not thank me yet, Captain, the AI replied. I have prevented immediate conflict, but the fundamental problem remains. These ships exist. The humans aboard them exist. The truth of galactic history exists. What you do with these facts will determine the future. Thale reappeared on the view screen. Captain Day, I must report this to my government. I cannot delay any longer. I know, Day said. I have to report to mine as well. But before we do, I want to propose something. I am listening. We make the report together. Joint presentation. We show our governments that humans and Vryn are working together on this, not against each other. We frame this as a shared discovery, not a territorial dispute. Thale considered this. It could work, or it could make both our governments think we have been compromised. It's a risk, they admitted, but it's better than the alternative. There's another factor, Dr. Mia said. She had been quiet, working on her tablet. Now she looked up with a troubled expression. I've been analyzing the historical records in more detail. The silence, the thing that ancient humanity fought. There are warnings throughout the database. Warnings that it could come back. Come back from where? Beora asked. I don't know. The records are fragmented. But every ship's log, every IS core programming includes contingency plans for if the silence returns. And Captain, the signals we've been broadcasting waking up these ships? They might also be broadcasting into wherever the silence went. The bridge went cold. They looked at the fleet of ancient ships, at the Vryn vessels, at the vast darkness of space beyond. The joint transmission went out 3 days later. Captain Day and Commander Thale stood side by side in a recording studio aboard the Enduring Memory, the ancient flagship that had saved them from disaster. Behind them on the display screens were the star maps, the historical records, the undeniable truth of humanity's forgotten past. To the governments and peoples of the Terran Union and the Vryn Collective, they began, reading from a carefully prepared script. We are broadcasting critical information regarding a discovery made in neutral space. What we are about to share will challenge everything we thought we knew about galactic history. Thale continued in his own language, translated simultaneously. We ask that you listen completely before taking any action. This information belongs to all of us. They showed everything. The dispersal fleet, the cryopods, the war against the silence, the truth about ancient humanity's role in shaping galactic civilization. They held nothing back. The vessels we have discovered are not a threat, they said firmly. They are a legacy, a gift from our shared past. The humans who sleep aboard these ships fought to save this galaxy, not to conquer it. They deserve our respect, not our fear. The Vryn Collective acknowledges that our civilization was aided by ancient humans, Thale added. We do not see this as a debt to be repaid, but as a foundation to build upon. Our worlds are ours by right of tens of thousands of years of habitation. This truth does not change. We propose a new framework, they said. A partnership between all galactic civilizations to study this discovery together, to learn from it, and to prepare for the possibility that the silence, whatever it was, might return. The transmission ended. Now came the hard part. Waiting for the response, on the bridge of the horizon's edge, Lieutenant Hay monitored the communication channels. The reactions came quickly. Some supportive, many angry. Humans demanding that the ancient territories be returned. Vryn calling for the destruction of the ancient fleet. Other species weighing in with their own concerns and claims. It's chaos out there, Tay reported. Half the galaxy is arguing about who owns what. Expected, Boer said. She was reviewing tactical reports, tracking the movement of military ships from a dozen different governments. Every major power is mobilizing forces. They all want to secure the ancient ships for themselves. They watched the reports flow across his screen. This was the nightmare scenario. The very thing he had tried to prevent. How long until the first ships arrive? Terran cruisers will be here in 6 hours, Baora said. Vryn reinforcements in 8. After that, it gets crowded. Dr. Mia entered the bridge carrying her tablet. She looked exhausted. Captain, I've been working with the Enduring Memories database. I found something important. More bad news? They asked. Actually, maybe good news. The silence wasn't an enemy in the traditional sense. It was a space-time anomaly, a tear in reality caused by overuse of faster-than-light technology. Ancient humanity didn't fight a war against an enemy. They fought to contain a disaster they created themselves. That brought everyone up short. Explain. They said. Mia pulled up data on the main screen. The Terran Empire had incredibly advanced FTL drives, but they didn't understand the long-term effects. Every jump through faster-than-light space created tiny fractures in the fabric of reality. Over thousands of years, those fractures grew and merged into something massive. The silence was literally reality breaking down. How did they stop it? Biora asked. They didn't. They stabilized it. The dispersal wasn't just about spreading humanity across the galaxy. It was about reducing FTL travel to let reality heal itself. The dispersal fleet ships were designed to travel at sublight speeds for exactly this reason. Hay looked up from her station. Does that mean we're in danger? Modern FTL drives could be creating the same problem. Potentially, Mia said. But modern drives are much less powerful. The effect would take tens of thousands of years to reach critical levels. The ancient ship's AIs have been monitoring space-time stability. They say the current FTL technology is sustainable if used responsibly. So the silence isn't coming back? Tay asked hopefully. Not unless we start using the ancient drives, Mia said. Which is why the AIs are so protective of their technology. It's not just advanced weapons and shields. It's the thing that almost destroyed the galaxy. They felt a weight lift slightly. This changes things. If the silence isn't an immediate threat, we have time to work out the political situation peacefully. Assuming the politicians listen to reason, Boera said skeptically. A new voice spoke over the comm. It was the enduring memory. Captain Day, I am detecting a problem. Several of the smaller dispersal fleet ships are receiving unauthorized access attempts. Various governments are trying to hack our systems. Can they succeed? They asked. No, but the attempts themselves are concerning. They show that galactic leaders view us as prizes to be claimed rather than artifacts to be protected. Thale's image appeared on the screen. Captain, my government has issued orders. I am to secure the ancient ships in Vryn space and prevent access by other powers. I have been instructed to use force if necessary. You're not going to follow those orders, they said. It wasn't a question. No, Thale admitted. I am not. But my replacement will. I estimate I have 2 hours before I am relieved of command. Same here, they said. My superiors are sending Admiral Park to take control of the situation. She arrived with a full battle group. The two officers looked at each other across the view screen. They had bought time, revealed the truth, and tried to prevent war. Now their own governments were taking the decisions out of their hands. There has to be something we can do, Tay said. Day thought about it. Thought about the sleeping humans in the cryopods. Thought about the A's trying to protect their creator's legacy. Thought about what ancient humanity had really wanted. Enduring memory, he said. Can you move the fleet? Yes, Captain. Where would you like us to go? Somewhere neutral. Somewhere no government can claim ownership. Is there such a place? The AI was silent for a moment, processing. Yes, the Sanctuary Zone. It was established 200 years ago as neutral territory for diplomatic meetings. No weapons allowed, no military forces. Protected by treaty among all major galactic powers. Would the ancient ships be safe there? They asked. Safer than here. Moving them would also demonstrate that humans are not claiming them as military assets. Thale nodded slowly. It could work. If the ships move voluntarily to neutral space, neither our government nor yours can claim we failed to secure them. We simply protected them until proper diplomatic channels could be established. It buys time, Theora said. Time for cooler heads to prevail. Or time for the arguing to get worse, Hay pointed out. True, they admitted. But at least nobody will be shooting at each other while they argue. He made the decision. Enduring memory, move the fleet to the Sanctuary Zone, all ships. Take the humans in cryosleep somewhere safe while their descendants figure out how to handle the situation. Acknowledged, Captain. Initiating fleet movement. The ancient ships began to move. Slowly at first, then building speed. They formed up in perfect formation, just like they must have done 47,000 years ago when they fled from the silence. But this time, they weren't running from disaster. They were gliding toward the possibility of a better future. "This is going to make a lot of people angry," Tay said. "Good," they replied. "Angry people can argue. That's better than dead people." The horizon's edge followed the ancient fleet, with Thales Vryn ships forming an escort. Together, human and Vryn vessels shepherded the dispersal fleet to safety. It would take days to reach the sanctuary zone. By then, the entire galaxy would know what was happening. As they traveled, messages poured in. Demands, threats, accusations of treason, but also messages of support. Scientists wanting to study the ships. Historians begging for access to the records. Common people on 100 worlds sending simple words of thanks for not starting a war. On the second day of the journey, something unexpected happened. Lieutenant Hay picked up a signal unlike anything they had detected before. "Captain," she said slowly, "you need to hear this." The voice that came through the speakers was weak, confused, but unmistakably human. Speaking ancient Korean, translated by the computer. "This is... Where am I? What year is it?" Someone in the cryopods had woken up. Not through any intentional revival process. Just the stress of the ship's movement had brought them back to consciousness. Dr. Mia rushed to the Eternal Dawn with a medical team. By the time they joined them, they had stabilized the woman. She was old by ancient standards, maybe 60, with gray hair and eyes that had seen things no modern human could imagine. Her name was Hana. She had been a botanist on the original colony mission. She remembered Earth before the Exodus. Remembered the Empire. Remembered loading her family onto the ship and going to sleep expecting to wake up on a new world. "How long?" she asked Mia. "How long have I been asleep?" Mia hesitated. "How did you tell someone they had lost 47,000 years?" "A long time," she said gently. "A very long time. The galaxy has changed." Hannah looked around the medical bay with its modern equipment. Looked at the crew with their strange uniforms. Looked out the viewport at the fleet moving through space.